the answers that you're looking for are lying just beyond the frame.
Florence Pugh actually jumped off the
I
Merdeka
saw that.
118 in Malaysia at the beginning of the film, which is, by the way, the second tallest building in the world. This happened out of Pugh's idea. Because if you know anything about actors, stunts, anything, you don't want your lead actor doing like some crazy shit.
Right,
this,
because your
like
insurance
some-
is already expensive.
The insurance, the lawyers, like
Yeah.
it's an absolute nightmare to have your leading character, your leading actor in a situation like this. But she hammered Kevin Feige, the producer, with emails about, we have to do it, I'm doing it, like just over and over and over again. She said she's not afraid of heights, like I got to be the one to do it, authentic, real, and I respect that. And
Me
it
too.
makes me like her performance that much more.
Me too.
And the movie opens with that. It's a really cool opening, I thought.
And you saw the interview or one of the interviews of her talking about it, and I love how she said, "I'm doing a Marvel film. I'm doing this is an opportunity. When am I going to get to do something like this?" And, being in movies allows you to become really, an expert in this and well-versed in this. And seize the day. She just went for it. And
That's right.
Yeah.
She took a page out of old Tom Cruise's book.
Exactly.
And
That's
she
a good way to put
argued her way
Yeah,
in. I mean, he famously, if the stuntman says, no, we can't do it, he gets a new stuntman.
Right.
He gets a new,
Stunt coordinator.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
I knew what you meant. Yeah.
So shout out to Pugh.
Yeah,
I really
for sure.
respect that. Second are two castings. So these are moves that happened prior to shooting.
Okay.
So originally, the role of Robert Reynolds, who was played by Lewis Pullman, very, very well too. Really enjoyed him in this role.
Bill Pullman's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. It was actually given to Stephen Yen from Beef
Wow.
initially. What a different movie he would have
Totally.
had. I'm sure he would have knocked it out of the
Oh,
park.
I
I love
have-
Stephen Yen.
All the confidence in the world in Stephen Yeun.
But it would have been a different film, huh? But due to the SAG-AFTRA strikes, reschedulings and stuff, he just had to pull out due to his scheduling conflicts. And then the other is the role of Mel, the assistant, who originally was given to Ayo Adebri
Okay.
from The Bear.
Bear. Okay.
But she too had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts, who also, I'm sure, would have done a knockout job. But I liked the woman who played...
Me too.
Can we get her name? The woman who played the assistant, Mel. She played Mel.
Yeah. I thought she was good.
She was great.
Yeah.
And I've seen her in other stuff too, so I think she's getting some work.
Mm-hmm.
She's a working
for
gal.
sure. For sure.
So hope to see her in more. I think Marvel suffers from the ailment of making movies specifically intended for the largest possible audience. In order for a movie to appeal to the most amount of people possible, you have to leave very little to the imagination.
Well, it's kind of like the lowest common denominator kind of thinking. you know?
Exactly. It's like, how do we explain this or express this where every single person will get it regardless of
Right. So it has
who
to be
they are,
on the nose.
where they are.
Yeah.
And I like you said that, because while I was pleasantly surprised by this film and I did enjoy it, there was a lot that I had to overlook. Everything is on the nose. Everything is spoon-fed to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a director, as a filmmaker, it's a hard decision on what to include and what to leave out. You know, you have to... Is the audience going to understand this, what I'm trying to say here? Or do I need to have a line? Do I
Right.
need to cut
Right.
to a close-up? Do I need... You know, you have to figure out what do I leave in and what do I take out? And here, they didn't take anything. Everything is on the nose. Every line, every shot, everything is like... It just... They paint the full picture for you. Nothing is left
True.
to the imagination.
It's a good point.
You know, the audience doesn't have to figure anything out. It connects all the dots for you. The dialogue is clunky at times, you know, and again, on the nose. Everything is reduced to basic communication so that everyone can watch it and understand it. That being said,
Yeah.
IMAX, baby.
Yeah. Agreed.
It was visually beautiful at times.
Yeah, it was.
At times, the CGI looked pretty clean.
Yeah.
Everything looked
I think so too.
pretty good. Pugh in the leading role. That woman was just born to lead a franchise.
Wasn't she though?
I'm surprised that it's taken her this long to get to that.
I haven't seen her be mediocre in anything.
No, I mean
She just crushes every role she takes on.
And what's funny is I'm not getting this like the feeling of there's other actors out there. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes when you
Yeah.
see somebody pop up all the time,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, it'd be nice to see someone else. I don't get that with her at all.
No, me either.
I want more.
Me either.
I don't have enough.
Well, yeah, because looking at her, looking at her face, I just want to know, well, like, what is she thinking? What's going on?
Yeah,
Like,
she's so interesting.
she is very interesting, and so it adds a level. She alone adds a level of depth to this movie.
Yeah,
That's really refreshing.
she is a wonderful leading role. She can take command of the scene and the camera
For sure.
like few other people can. And
Yeah.
she's great in Dune. She's
Yep.
great in anything I've seen her in. I find a hard time finding anything bad to say. I mean, she hits every nail on the head. She leaves no stone unturned, and Thunderbolts is no different. Like, I think that was my favorite part of the movie, was her.
For me too.
And they
For me
and the
too.
and I think I don't know if I read some stuff online about this being intended to be a sequel to Black Widow. Like
Okay.
it was going to focus way more on Yelena and her dad. But I think I like what they did with bringing in all the other and like maybe spreading out the focus a little bit, but she was still our focal point. She was still our lead. And I think that was a smart move.
Very
because,
smart.
again, if anybody can do it, it's her.
Yeah.
So she was my favorite part of this movie. And
Mine too.
I do think it came
Wow.
alive in the third act.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really started to get interesting. And my interest peaked in it, I would say. Are you feeling that too?
Yeah, I do. Although I have to admit, with her as the through line, she kept me engaged the whole time because she's someone who, an assassin who's going through an existential void, which is kind of, and the way she did it was really interesting. And battling her own, well, we'll get into it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But so I didn't even finish my own sentence. I just cut myself off. But
Yeah, no spoilers.
I
No spoilers.
found, like, I really noticed her tone of voice, like in the lab, even. Her tone of voice was I just thought it's perfect. I can feel your discontent and I can see it in your face, yet you're still doing your job. You're actually got a really great dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
She can carry a film.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope I didn't say too much.
No, I don't think you did at all. This is your typical superhero movie without being overindulgent. I do think this could propel Marvel back into their supremacy, like I said, but depending on what they go, how they go from here, and we'll get into that later on. But to me, I just felt like I think Marvel knew that they were in a tough spot. I think I knew they had their backs against the wall.
Yeah.
And if they didn't knock this out, I mean, they were in serious trouble. I think they had pulled other movies out of production and stuff because of how things were going. Like, I think
No
it was
pressure.
looking pretty dire.
Yeah.
And I do think that this one is gonna maybe get them back on track.
Okay.
So I will say I enjoyed the film. Yes, I know I just kind of picked apart, but that's Marvel kind of in general, or blockbuster film, popcorn films in general, not specifically Marvel, but they can too sort of lean into that spoon-fed. Everything's just given to you. It's nothing to the imagination. That doesn't have to be bad. Sometimes I go into these movies with that in my head already. I just know what I'm going in for.
Of course.
I'm not
Exactly.
but that leaves us to be pleasantly surprised.
Exactly.
When this reminded me of Civil War.
Okay.
Captain America Civil
Yeah.
War.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
That had heart, that had
It
story, that had passion, that had
Yeah.
the characters had something at stake, and it was more than just superheroes.
Yeah,
It was
true.
like there was this something to cling on to,
Well,
something to hit you.
I mean, at the risk of sounding, I don't know what, corny or whatever, just humanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was humanity, and there
had
there was humanity in this.
There absolutely was.
Yeah.
It brought it down to reality.
Yeah.
And that could be part because we have like the misfits and they're sort of outcasts and they're not real like superheroes, if you will.
Right.
So and that could be playing part.
Well, yeah, because we can relate to people who have struggles. Well, of course now superheroes are flawed.
Sure.
But just how she was flawed in particular really struck a chord.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that, but first,
Right on.
we got to find out if our stars are
Let's
aligned
find
here,
that
Joe.
out.
I think we might be.
I think we might be
I
too.
think we might be.
But we'll find out.
I'm going to see. I think
Yeah.
out of 5 stars here, I think you gave it a 3.5.
Initially, I did, and then I moved it up.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts got a 4 out of 5 stars from Joe Parente.
To go from 4 to 5, though, in my book, is very, very, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, 4 is
I know 4 is pretty solid.
4 is pretty solid.
I sat on that one for a long time because I gave it 3.5 initially. I'm gonna guess that is exactly what you gave it, 3.5.
I gave it 3.
Oh, you gave it 3.
I gave it 3. I think.
Sorry, I meant 3. Yeah.
I think there's a good movie in here. I think that there is some bits of like we talked about humanity and like something I could really dig into. Pew is fantastic, but I can't forget all of the cringy dialogue and the on the nose, nothing left to the.
And I totally
imagination.
get that. I think I'm just going to confess that Florence just completely skewed my perspective.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Because I was so impressed by what she brought
Yeah.
to this. And we're going to get into it more because I think also part of at least a half star that I gave, I felt like there was so much potential. Whether or not they really captured it or not, we can discuss.
Absolutely. I agree.